New bombshell in the Benghazi probe.
Yeah, in a closed-door interview, retired FBI supervisor now alleging that Deputy Director Andrew McCabe instructed him to not call the attack an act of terror. So does this all speak to the issue of political bias against the agency?
Big question. Everyone wants the answer. Here now to weigh in is the congressman who interviewed that agent, Ron DeSantis. Thank you for joining us, Congressman. We really appreciate it. Can you tell us what went into that conversation you had on Wednesday?
Well, this was someone who was a very experienced agent, and he thought at the time during the Benghazi and the aftermath of the Benghazi attack that it was odd that that instruction was coming down, because they had identified within 48 hours that they could tell through their use of different tools that they have that this was a pre-planned terrorist attack. And yet you have this order coming down saying, do not refer to it, do not refer to it as terrorism. That was consistent at the time with Hillary and Obama and what they were saying. But now, the reason why he wanted to talk about this now is because you have all these other data points that have been bubbling up. And he said, you know, I wasn't sure the reason for it now, but looking at it, I'm really concerned that this was part of a larger political bias problem within the Bureau. So when people exhibit certain things, I mean, you can vote for whoever you want, you can listen to Sean Hannity, or you can watch liberal news, but if your actions are then not really explicable other than that, that's kind of the problem. And so that's what he saw.
Representative DeSantis, there are also a number of connections between Mr. McCabe and the Clintons. Why don't you go into a little bit of detail on that to the extent that you can?
Well, I mean, his wife was a state Senate candidate in Virginia, was supported heavily by Terry McAuliffe. I mean, you're talking about $700,000 worth of support. And of course, McAuliffe is very, very close and has been for years with the Clinton family.
Can you talk to us a little bit about why, in your opinion, the Benghazi attack wouldn't be called terrorism?
Well, the agent's opinion was, look, there are some times when you may not know, but in this case, they were able to determine that this was something that was motivated by terrorism. This was an al-Qaeda attack, effectively, and most of the agents at that time thought that that was a slam dunk assessment. So the issue is why would you then say not to call it what the evidence that you are currently gathering would suggest that it is?
Yeah.
Where do you think this all leads, Representative DeSantis? Because we're in a situation now where the FBI has been literally called out on the carpet. Christopher Wray there yesterday defending the organization, but doing so with a little bit of a hand tied behind his back because he just started this new job, quite frankly, moments ago. So where does this all lead?
Well, I think Director Wray has a chance to really help right the ship here. And the way to do that is to turn over some of the information that both the Intelligence Committee and the Judiciary Committee are asking about the genesis of the Trump dossier. You know, that was funded by the Democratic Party. Christopher Steele, he was working with a lot of Russians to compile this. It's a discredited dossier. But what happened is, at some point, the FBI actually took cognizance of that dossier. So why did they take cognizance of it? Did they pay Christopher Steele for the dossier? And then did they use the dossier to justify surveillance of Trump associates with the FISA court? And you also got to remember this guy, Peter Strzok, who was relieved of duty from Mueller's investigation. Strzok was the lead agent on Hillary's case, which was obviously questionable how that was handled. And then he was the lead agent on the so-called Trump-Russia case. He had anti-Trump text, which, you know, is obviously something, but we don't even know if that was it. There may be more reasons why he was relieved of duty, but was he involved with Christopher Steele? Was he involved with the dossier? Did he bring that information to the FISA court to try to get surveillance? We need answers to those questions. Director Wray did not provide those yesterday. Devin Nunes is pushing. I think the Speaker of the House is going to be talking with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein. But clearly, we need to know whether the FBI was using effectively opposition party research to justify surveillance against a rival political candidate. That would be a clear misuse of Bureau resources.
Well, and I think in all fairness, the public wants answers too. They want the truth. We do have to run, but real quick, just a couple seconds here. When do you think we start to see accountability?
Well, Rosenstein's coming to the Judiciary Committee next week, and if they haven't answered our concerns by then, I think it's going to be a rough day for them.
All right. Thank you for joining us this morning, Congressman DeSantis. We really appreciate it.